As you're about to find out, attractiveness is quite simple and quite complex at the same time. I used to have this colleague at work who everyone just hated. Despite the fact that he was a conventionally good looking dude, he was hardworking, he was good at his job, but at the same time, he was overtly negative, unnecessarily aggressive when dealing with people, and put work ahead of everything else, including people's well being. Now, in this case, it's quite obvious why people didn't like him or didn't feel attracted to him. But in a lot of cases, it's not. I have met people who seemed great on paper, and the moment that I met them, I was like, no. And then there are people that I've met that I've instantly developed a liking for. And I'm like, hey, I want this person to be my friend. Why does that happen? Well, the topic of attraction has been researched like crazy, and I went ahead and did a little experiment of my own on Instagram. And I can probably draw a conclusion or two from the 30 years of interactions that I have had on this planet. So this video is a combination of learnings from all three domains. Looks matter a lot. As vain and as harsh as that sounds, it's absolutely true. There's something called the halo effect in psychology, which means that when we see a good looking person, we also attribute other good qualities that we associate with a nice person to them. And that is why we feel attracted to them. Now, there's a genetic component to the way that you look, which is your features, which can also be taken care of by cosmetic procedures if you want to go down that road. But besides just your features, there's also other physical attributes that we associate with looking good, which is your dressing sense, how well groomed you are, how you carry yourself, what your skin looks like. All of those things are important and, more importantly, under your control. So one way to ensure that you improve your charisma, your attractiveness, is to focus on these attributes that you can control. Pay attention to your fitness, dress for your skin type and your body type, wear colors that brighten your skin tone, wear silhouettes that enhance your body type, and have your basic grooming on point. Cut your nails, don't have debris under them, trim your nose hair once in a while. And doing all of this has a twofold effect. One, it signals to everybody else that you're a person who takes care of themselves, who invests in themselves, and that is associated with positive qualities. And the second thing it does is it boosts your confidence, which, not surprisingly, was one of the most popular responses on the Instagram questionnaire. And rightly so, because confidence is one of the most universally magnetic qualities an individual can have. But what is confidence, and why do so many people seem to lack it? In the simplest of terms, confidence is your belief, your faith in your own self and your abilities. Which means that confidence spans a lot of different spectrums. It can mean confidence in your looks, or confidence in your intellectual abilities, or your emotional regulation abilities. And it also means that while you may have confidence in one area, you might not have it in another area. Now, I have made a couple of videos on things and habits that can help you become more confident, so make sure you check them out here. But for now, let's break it down to the simplest process. In a nutshell, confidence comes from being comfortable with who you are. So the more you act in accordance to your internal value system, the more you become okay with being awkward in situations, and the more you start to accept that you don't know everything, the easier it becomes for you to build confidence. You know how when you're walking down the street and somebody smiles at you, you automatically tend to smile back. This is because happiness and feelings associated with happiness are contagious. So are feelings associated with sadness, which is why when we're around happy people, we tend to feel happier. But when we're around doom and gloom, dull people, we tend to feel like them. And nobody wants to feel that way. People want to feel good about themselves, about the world, which is why people who are generally happier and smiling look more attractive. This is actually called the emotional contagion effect in psychology. A smiling or a generally happy demeanor tends to have a similar effect on other people, and that is why they feel more drawn to you. Nobody wants to be drawn to people who are angry and pissed off all the time. Smile more. So recently, I had gone to this dinner with an acquaintance of mine, and he was the one ordering. And as soon as he started ordering, I could sense that he was extremely rude to the waiters. Not in the sense that he was going out of his way to put them down, but there was no thank you, no please, just ordering them around like they were servants. And that was such an instant put off. I don't think I'm going to dinner again with that person. A simple please or a simple thank you can go such a long way in making the other person feel valuable. And that is one of the basic pillars of kindness. And I agree with my Instagram fam. Kindness is such an important trait when it comes to attractiveness. I'm going to place it right up there with confidence because being kind means that you don't just think about yourself, you are not in a dog eat dog world, and that you care about people. And caring is very, very attractive. So, if this is something that you struggle with, start with basic mannerisms, a please or a thank you, hold the door for someone once in a while. Make kindness a practice in your life and not just something that you do for show. And eventually, you start representing it in your body language, the way that you talk, the way that you interact with people, and people pick up on these cues. And why this comes off as attractive is because of this phenomenon called spontaneous trait transference. When we are kind to someone else and people are witnessing it, they also tend to associate other positive, good qualities with that person, and that is why they feel drawn towards them. You know how in movies there's always this goofy character who fumbles around, makes mistakes, and is the most adorable thing in the world? Why is it that a character which is flawed like this is more endearing to us than somebody who's picture perfect? This is because of a psychological phenomenon called pratfall effect, which was coined by this American psychologist called Elliot Aronson. And what this basically means is that somebody who makes mistakes, somebody who fumbles, is not perfect all the time, is more relatable and therefore more likable by people in general. So if you are too wound up in your perfectionist tendencies, take a little break. Making mistakes will not make you look bad. It will actually make you more endearing and therefore more attractive in the eyes of other people. Depends on the mistake as well. If you go punch somebody in the face and call it a mistake, that's not endearing. I'm going to take one more movie example to illustrate this point. Bollywood, to be specific. You see how in Bollywood films, the lead actor is always chasing the actress, right? He's going after her, pursuing her to make her fall in love with him, and eventually she does fall in love with him. There is something called reciprocal liking in psychology, which means that we tend to like people who like us first. Interesting, right? Now, don't go ahead and use this on your romantic interests and then say, "Ki Adete ne bola tha, please." But reciprocal liking is a beautiful phenomena, I think, and it is great in social situations. And how I tend to use it is whenever I'm going to a social gathering or I have to speak at a public event or something like that, I enter the room assuming that everybody there already likes me. Now, I'm not doing this out of arrogance, but more so to put myself at ease in the situation. What happens when I assume that everybody already likes me is that my interaction, my body language, the way that I speak, converse with them changes a lot as compared to if I were to be nervous about whether this person or whether this group of people are going to like me or not. Nervous energy, not so great. This confident energy that comes from assuming that people like you already, great. And what this also does is because you assume that other people are liking you, you tend to give off a similar vibe and you tend to go in with the feeling that you also like these people. That makes the interaction a lot more smooth and that actually makes people more drawn towards you. I saw a lot of videos on attractiveness before I made mine. And one thing that nobody really talks about is how we make other people feel. And that is such a huge component of attractiveness. How people feel in your presence determines whether they like you, like to hang out with you, would want to hang out with you in the future or not. And this is something called the trait affective presence. Now, enough studies have been done on what trait affective presence is, but not enough on how it develops or how we tend to give off these vibes that other people pick up on. But I'm going to share from my experience what I think works in this area. So my mom is somebody who has a very positive trait affective presence. My dad was in the army, so whenever he used to go to these army parties, gatherings, welfare events, whatever, everybody who interacted with my mom had the same thing to say, that they felt so uplifted, so happy after they interacted with her. And till date, there are friends, her friends, the other officers' wives who still remember her because she left a positive impact on them. And I think that happens because of a couple of reasons. One is active listening. She is an excellent listener. And that is why people are very easily able to open up with her. The second is making eye contact and having a more open body language. So when you make eye contact, you make the other person feel seen and feel heard. And an open body language means you are more receptive to welcoming them in your space and you're not closed off. Then there is giving genuine compliments, this is something that my mom always say, that if you look at someone, if you like something about them, tell them there and then. We are very quick to give judgments, we're very quick to say negative things about people, but when it comes to compliments, I think a lot of us shy away from it. But giving genuine compliments can definitely make someone's day, and it will make them remember you for life. And finally, and I think this is the most important aspect of trait affective presence, is regulating your emotions. What this means is that you're not off burdening or just putting your burden on everybody that you meet. The whole concept of social media is based around relatability. We like people we understand or people we relate to. This is something called the similarity attraction effect, and how you can put it into practice is by being more vulnerable, more open with the people that you meet and interact with, which is why people who share a lot of personal stuff on social media tend to be more relatable. I'm not saying that you have to overshare and tell everybody everything, but when you decide to be a little more open and a little more emotionally vulnerable with people, that helps them connect with you better. And when they are able to connect with you, they develop a liking for you. And when they develop a liking for you, they're obviously more drawn to you and want to spend more time with you. Attraction, at its most fundamental level, is nothing but a signal of good health. Because from an evolutionary perspective, when we didn't have all of the medical marvels that we have today, the only way to tell if somebody was healthy and belonged to a good genetic pool was to know if they were good looking, fit, healthy, strong, all of those things. So make sure you pay attention to your health. Your physical, your mental, your emotional health. It is extremely important. A good attitude looks good on everyone. And I don't just mean your attitude towards other people, but also your attitude towards yourself and life in general. Negativity in general is unattractive. If you are constantly self-victimizing, complaining, gossiping, that gives off a negative signal to the person who's interacting with you. I'm not talking about having a mental health issue or having an off day where you have to keep everything bottled up inside. I'm talking about this cycle of negativity that a lot of us tend to get stuck in without the medical issues to back them. And what that does is that it changes your whole demeanor. It is visible in every aspect of the way that you conduct yourself, in your body language, in the way that you dress, in the way that you interact with people, and people pick up on this. And nobody wants to be around negativity. People want to be around positive things more than they want to be around negative things. I don't want to be around myself when I'm negative more than 4 days in a row, and I realize that it's tiring, it's off-putting, and it's energy that people don't want to be around. A simple way to look at this is that people who are more approachable, people who have a more positive outlook towards life, tend to be more attractive than people who have an overall negative outlook towards life. And finally, a good sense of humor. It is so attractive when someone can crack a joke and take a joke and make light of a situation without being all dull and gloomy all of the times. Life is hard, but it's not that serious. And when people are able to take it in stride and laugh along the way, it is just the most attractive thing in the world. Now, your sense of humor is, of course, a part of the trait affective presence or the way that you make people feel, but I wanted it to be a separate point because I think it is so important. I think the video is getting pretty long already and I should stop now. But I do have a longer list. So if you want me to make a part 2 of this video, let me know in the comments. Make sure you check out the confidence videos that I mentioned at the start. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, you guys.